Good afternoon. My name is Jamie Acton, and I serve as the Senior Director of Alumni Relations at Illinois Institute of Technology. On behalf of the Alumni Association, I want to thank you for tuning in to this latest in a series of professional development webinars. And our topic today is information security trends and careers. We're hiring. Speaker today is Chris Willis. Chris graduated from IIT in 2003 with a master's degree in information technology and management. Since then, he has been working with Sayers Corporation for 11 and a half years and is now the Director of Engineering for Enterprise Security. Sayers is a national technology reseller, systems integrator, and consulting organization headquartered in Vernon Hills, Illinois, that focuses on small and medium-sized businesses all the way to Fortune 100 organizations. Please join me in welcoming Chris.
Thank you, Jamie. I appreciate it. And I appreciate Illinois Institute of Technology giving me the opportunity to present about something I am passionate about. And so first off, thank you for the introduction as well. I am a resident of Illinois. I am a graduate of IIT, as Jamie has mentioned. And IIT has provided me with a good foundation to get me to where I am today. It was actually Scott Pfeiffer, the Director of Outreach at IIT, who helped me find my job at Sayers for 11 and a half years. And it was the program put together by IIT that intrigued me with the academic program and stuff. So, but also at IIT, the program had us do projects, and one of the projects we did was wireless and securing DHCP. So as you see in the bottom right-hand picture there, Michael McLone and Dennis Hassenfang next to me, we actually implemented the first wireless network at the Rice campus at IIT, and that was back in 2003. And it's through a project of securing DHCP and a secure protocol. And the way to test it, we didn't want to interrupt the student network, so we implemented a separate network, which is still in use today. But definitely a lot of the education, a lot of the teachers and faculty staff, Dr. Bob Carlson, Ray Trickstag, Bill Ladinsky, and many others inspired me and got me to where I am today. But first we're going to start talking about information security. And when I talk about information security, I'm using this in a broad sense. So information being the usable data, something with context around it, but it really can encompass data security, network security, application security, device security, human security. So there's many areas that we're going to kind of compass within information security. One thing it's not going to cover is physical security, more of the logical security. So I thought it was interesting, Hillary Clinton and the breach with her email server, speaking about it being protected by the Secret Service and being secure with the physical security. And that is not something I'm going to be focusing on today. But the market for information security is definitely growing. So as you can see, $106 billion today, this year, and they're estimating by 2020, going to grow to over $170 billion. And the U.S. market is approximately 45% of the worldwide market for the spending of this. So we look at the market growth. Analysts at FBR and Company said the number of seven-figure deals have increased by 40% year over year. And the reason why this is important is because legacy systems are being ripped out and replaced, major infrastructure purchases are being done, and this is important because things are changing. Organizations are now investing. You know, security is getting more of a focus within organizations, and so that's a good thing. According to IDC, the main areas for growth are security analytics, SIM tools, threat intelligence, mobile security, and as you can see, the highest there for growth is cloud security, cyber security. So we're definitely seeing that as well in the organization that I'm in. By 2018, more than half of organizations will use security services firms that specialize in data protection, security risk management, and security infrastructure management to enhance their security postures. And this is actually stated by Gartner. And the important thing to note here is that organizations know that they can't handle it internally. They're focusing on what their business does and allowing other parties to come in and help them in their security practice, their information security. So it's a good thing. It's either a co-managed approach or a fully outsourced approach, but typically there's going to be some involvement within the organization. So we like that organizations are embracing this method. So security spend. If we take a look at the very best organizations on what they spend for security within their IT budget, it's about 8%, and this is what Forbes states. Gartner estimates that global security spend is just around 1.8% of the total IT budget. So the thing is, there's a huge deficit here from 1.8 and the very best spending 8%. We're accumulating a huge debt over time. And ultimately, it's not just 1 year. It's something that compounds year over year over year. So to give you an example of this, we take a look at the United States Office of Personnel Management, which had a breach of something greater than 20 million identities kind of stolen and information exposed. So the total budget that they had was almost $2 billion. IT spend was $51 million of that in 2014 and 2015, which includes about $7 million on salaries. If they spent 8% on cybersecurity, it would be roughly around $4 million today, which means they had a significant deficit in security spend. The breach was discovered by a vendor during a demo of their product. And again, something that I do at my current organization is we're a value-added reseller. So we go out there and we sell other people's solutions to organizations. We provide an extension to their security team with our engineering talent at kind of a high level, but we do a lot of demos of solutions, technology, products, services, and through those we actually do show organizations a significant amount of value and visibility into something that they didn't know about. So it's very interesting that a vendor brought this breach to their attention. But they're accruing a massive security debt, and ultimately the government is spending a greater than $133 million just on identity theft protection alone. And this doesn't include any type of mitigation or security to actually secure them moving forward, which is going to be an additional spend. So it's best to be proactive rather than reactive when you're looking at security. So this is RSA Conference and its growth. And the RSA Conference is a huge security conference, and they have multiple of them around the world. The U.S. one is typically located in San Francisco, California, and it's held every single year. Started in 1991 with just 50 attendees and 3 tracks. Then we kind of skip through the years and we get to last year, which had 33,000 attendees. And so that kind of shows you the growth and how popular this conference is becoming. And also what's also notable here is the 27 tracks. So that's talking about the individual areas like encryption and mobility and cloud and secure web gateway, URL filtering, and IDS, IPS, all these different areas. But really those areas can be further broken down. So the tracks are expanding, the speakers are expanding, the people participating and giving lectures about security and their industry expertise, as well as the exhibitors. Just from 2014 to 2015 alone, it grew by 150 exhibitors. So we have a lot of attendees, we have a lot of organizations presenting their solutions to combat these issues in those tracks. So this is very representative of what we're seeing in the security space, definitely growing. We take a look at 2 other security conferences, also very large, Black Hat and Defcon. Black Hat starting in 1997, Defcon starting even earlier, back in 1993. We can also see that their attendance is also growing significantly. 2 conferences held in Las Vegas back-to-back every single year. So then we take a look at the innovation, the evolution. So the topic here is the information security trends and the careers associated with it. But history repeats itself, and so does the malware. So we have to constantly ensure we are innovating. And just like with the telephones, we like to get them smaller, then we go and, make them bigger. They're obviously getting better. Reinventing the wheel. These pictures are things I found on the internet. It kind of explains how things are, changing. The thermostat going from something that, it worked, it was fine, it did what it needed to do, but to be re-engineered, re-innovated into something, totally different, but still accomplishing what it did in the past, just better. So we also have this quote from Henry Ford, although it's not known to be if it's true or not, but it's very interesting. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And so he made vehicles and the production line, and he had lots of innovations. And so we need more individuals making those innovations, not just in security, but lots of other areas, but especially in security. So here we kind of take a look at where security and kind of going back to the RSA tracks has come from and where they're going to. And 11.5 years ago when I got into this space, it was really about network firewalls being a huge security, resolution. That was, if I've got a network firewall, I'm securing my environment. And then on the endpoints, we would install an endpoint antivirus and personal firewalls. And then we would have email, and email would always be encompassed with some type of spam or AV solution. So that's, another important thing to mention there. I was reading an article recently. It stated that business wouldn't run without email, and email wouldn't run without spam and antivirus. Considering more than 90% of email out there in the world today is spam and unbusiness and related communication, not intended for the business. So things have started off from small, like these few areas, and then we got into encryption, some other areas, to now we're seeing a lot more areas in security, which these little areas can also be further broken down. So we see network security, endpoint security, compliance and regulations driving a lot of this in certain areas, data security. Something that's very important there is data and identity access. I was speaking to a very large organization recently, and he puts a lot of focus into those two, identity and data. And obviously all these other areas have to fall into that. So how can I protect my identity on the network and on the endpoints? But it's definitely interesting there. Device security, mobile security, bringing your own device security, virtualization, cloud security, application, database, human security. So human is a huge area. Can I socially engineer a user to do something? Is the user the internal threat? Are they the weakest link? Is that how I can get into an organization? SSL inspection, encrypting traffic. Well, if I encrypt it, I'm now becoming blind to it, or my technology may be becoming blind to it. So how can I get the visibility into that? Analytics and forensics, doing an, analyzing the traffic and bringing things together from different segments and then correlating that, normalizing it, and then coming up with actionable intelligence. Also, threat intelligence, a big area, not just IP reputation, but also more from indicators of compromise, from honeypots, from individuals collecting data from all over the world about certain applications, certain organizations. Definitely a big area growing. Machine learning, mathematics, behavior and anomaly detection. Internet of Things, operational technologies, something we're seeing, and we haven't really even hit that much today, but it's something we're going to be seeing in the future, just like vehicle security. So lots of areas here that we should definitely be focusing on, and we are focusing on, and we're needing individuals to, look at these areas. So we take a look at security. Security is often thought of as being disruptive, blocking things, not allowing the business to progress forward. But definitely in my organization, we do not want to be the disruptive, partner. We want to make sure that we're safely enabling the business. And so we have what we come up with as a business enablement model. And so if we take a look at these areas, the first area on the left-hand side is users. And we really want to make sure we enable those users. And so from a traditional side at the top to something more modern on the bottom, traditionally everybody's kind of on the same network and everybody had the same roles, to where now we have different users. And these users could be executives, it could be the marketing group, it could be the sales team, it could be the developers, it could be the financial department. So there's many different groups within the organizations. And those groups are often using their own applications specific to their job roles, which are making them very productive. So there are different applications, different access to different information is required. So we need to take a look at those users and what applications, what devices are they using, which gets us to the next point, device enablement. So going back to the green screens, mainframes, and then the desktops, first mobile devices being the laptops. Now we're coming to the era of the mobile devices, the handhelds and the iPads, and not just Windows operating systems, but Android and Chromebooks and Apple and iOS and all these different operating systems and devices that are mobile. And so we have to make sure that what users are using the devices, what are those applications, and how are they connecting? Which brings us to our next point, connectivity. So historically, we've used maybe disks to get information around. Then we got into the networking world, and now we can transfer files. And then we moved into the wireless space, and now wireless is ubiquitous. We have all different types of wireless. We have cellular and Wi-Fi. Anywhere we go, we have advertisements of wireless networks that we connect to, and then we either establish or don't establish a VPN connection back to our company network, or do we use SSL to encrypt that? So a lot of these newer devices don't even have a wired connection available. They're only wireless communication operable. So ultimately, we have to take that into consideration. And then the other area is application enablement. And this is a very important area. So again, going back to the users are using different applications based upon their job role. So the application is ultimately something that looks at the data back in the data center and the bits and the bytes. So what we want to do is the core data is not something you want to give access to the end users to. Typically, they're using applications. The applications take the bits and the bytes and turn it into something usable and actionable. And so then what we do is say, are these applications something that's already made? Is it something that's being developed? Is it being developed internally, externally? And how do we access this application? Do you have to be inside the company network? Can you access this from the public internet? Do you have to connect into a VPN to get access to the application? So there's lots of areas we take into consideration whenever we go into a project and whenever we take a look at security. So the way we kind of secure this is we want to break it down. We want to break it down to where we're authenticating users and what users can be authorized to use what devices and what networks can they connect to. And how do they connect into our network? And when they connect in, are they coming through a VPN or SSL? And then make sure the application is securely segmented from the data itself so that only the application can talk to the data in a trusted way. So lots of areas here with security that we must take into consideration. So here are the emerging areas of security. So things that we're seeing today and things we're seeing grow in the future, kind of the hype cycle of the emerging technologies. The first one being cloud access security brokers, or CASBs. So ultimately, when we take a look at the world today and application usage, we're seeing a lot of leverage of the cloud and Amazon, and basically you're able to buy a service for an application, and the application is advertised on the public internet. So the thing is deploying a physical firewall for a network that you don't own is basically not going to happen. So how do we secure that with some type of technology? Cloud access security brokers is that technology, the inline solution to basically take a look at that traffic, do the authentication, do the geolocation-based authentication and opportunistic authentication, and then doing encryption, doing data leakage detection and protection. Lots of integration there with things like Box and Salesforce, Dropbox, and other cloud-based applications. Then we get into endpoint detection and response, EDR. So a technology that not necessarily focuses on protection, but the detection of a threat that might already be happening and the ability to respond to that. Machine learning, mathematics growing at a rapid rate. The technology is amazing. Obviously, machines don't get tired. They constantly run. They're very reliable and allowing our lives to be much easier handled with looking at security-related events and churning through the data, big data. Behavior and anomaly detection, something very important to actually, you look at a user pattern over time and determine whether something is, out of the ordinary. So, users downloading multiple gigs of data, maybe during the night. And they typically work during the daytime, and they don't download much data at all. So that could be something that's out of the norm, and to alert off of something like that. Then we look into threat intelligence, getting feed data from other third parties out there, providing that and integrating in that to our or to an organization's system to correlate the information. Are we seeing something out in the wild that we might see internally? If so, flag that. Doing threat analytics to view things in a format that you can easily identify something's out of place. Managed services, so utilizing a third party to come in and help your organization. Threat deception, to utilize technologies that your users within an organization aren't going to typically, do, but maybe malware or something malicious within your environment would try to do, something like a honeypot on your network and having a fake website or an FTP site there, and then seeing if anyone's going to try to log into it and deceive them into coming towards your solution. And if you see something, flag alert off of it. And then we're also seeing a lot of upgrades and convergence of different technologies. There's obviously a lot of acquisitions going on out there in the world, a lot of integrations going on, and this is a very good thing. So instead of managing lots of different point solutions, I'm now having one technology being integrated and providing me better visibility, better control, better correlation of events in my environment. So here we're looking at emerging vendors in enterprise security. By no means is this a complete list, and by no means is this going to stay consistent even by tomorrow. But it's something it's worth kind of noting as there's these technologies that are out there. We have a company on the top right like Palo Alto Networks and Cylance, very new in this space. And we have companies on the bottom left like Checkpoint and Blue Coat that have been around for a very long time. Matter of fact, Palo Alto Networks, the founder there came from Checkpoint and one of the original engineers there. But these companies are making very good headway into organizations, and they're growing very quickly and rapidly. But like Big Glass and Sky High, CASB's providers, Blue Coat just made an acquisition of a company called Elastica. Yesterday it was announced. We have companies like Splunk, big data going into security space and churning through that. We have ReliaQuest, managed security services, and Darktrace. That is a machine learning device with behavior analysis that goes onto networks and provides significant value there. Cylance on the top right. Cylance is an organization that has re-innovated endpoint antivirus and malware detection and response control. It is an organization that uses mathematics solely to identify whether a file is malicious or benign, and it can do that within a fraction of a second. So organizations are coming out there. Some of them are new. You haven't heard about maybe 3 or 5 years ago, didn't even exist. Some organizations have been out there for many years, but making acquisitions or coming out with new innovations. So there's lots of players out there, as you saw in the RSA Conference, 500 exhibitors. So there's lots of noise. Definitely, utilize partners and look at other players out there in the market to figure out, what should you be using within your environment. And every environment is different. Every environment already has technology, so it's not going to be, taking everything you have out and replacing it. Maybe it's leveraging, upgrading of the software, leveraging new features, functionality, or more features, functionality of the software that you already have. So that's important. And then we also, we're looking at technologies, looking at services. How do we really make sure our environment is secure? How do we move forward and come up with a nice plan? And it's really making sure that your people, your process, and technology are all working together. Making sure that you have people that are trained and filled in positions that know the process and are constantly being, trained on new technologies, new innovations, not just a legacy world. And the process, making sure that meets, your compliance and regulation requirements and your security requirements, your business requirements, and that is also following standards that are put in place by your technology. You want to make sure that the technology you implement is being fully utilized. You might have the best technology, but if you have no people and process in place that know how to use that technology or know what to do with the events and alerts coming out of the technology, you're going to have a problem. So it's really going to be all of these working together, and it's constantly, reevaluating what you have and improving it as you go on. So this is also another area where, where you spend and where you invest to achieve the greatest return, it would be your people, your process, and technology. So the cyber kill chain, I won't go into depth in this, but it's something worth mentioning. It came out of Lockheed Martin, and it talks about these 5 stages. For an attack to be successful, these stages must be, reached. And so when you take a look at the people, process, and technology, if you put those in these areas, these different stages, you're more likely to be mitigating your threats or risk to any type of attack in your environment. So something definitely worth noting. So now we look at severe shortages in security skills. So the thing is that the security space is it's coming up very new. It's, as we saw with the security spend, organizations aren't spending much in that space. They're growing, though, at a rapid rate. But the thing is as they're growing, the people aren't there. So we talked about the people, the process, and the technology. What we're seeing is a severe shortage in the security skills. So a worldwide shortage of information security professionals is over 1 million. So that's roughly about 250,000 in the U.S., which is about 1 in every 4 positions available out there are going unfilled, and that's by Symantec and Cisco. But by 2017, and this is done by House of Lords in the UK, the Digital Skills Committee, they're actually estimating by 2017 there's going to be a shortage of 2 million security jobs worldwide, where that actually number is 1.5 million by 2019 by Symantec and Cisco. Ultimately, what this is saying is that there's a severe shortage in security skills. We can't have organizations not meeting their security goals and not having individuals in them in their workplace, solving these problems. So definitely leveraging managed security services providers and partners to come in and help the organizations out is going to be a good thing. But it also states that we need the educational system to make sure that they're training these people and giving them a good foundation and making sure the concepts are being sent out there to allow them to go into organizations and help those organizations out with their security needs. So here we also can see that 44% of organizations are short cybersecurity and networking knowledge. So it's not just about the positions, but also the knowledge that they have are going, getting behind, which is also leading to that deficit as well. 35% of organizations are unable to fill open security jobs. Between 2007 and 2013, postings for cybersecurity jobs rose 74%. So the jobs are out there. We just got to fill them with the right candidates. So what does a security person look like? You can be an introvert. You can be an extrovert. Whether you're quiet, whether you're loud, whether you're stick to yourself, you like to open up, whether you like to stay in a dark room with a one light in front of your computer, that doesn't matter. It takes people from all areas. You can be highly focused. You can have a really good niche into maybe mobile hacking. Maybe it's SQL. Maybe it's Microsoft. Maybe it's Macintosh. That's fine. Or you could be a generalist. Maybe it's something where you know a little bit about everything. That's also needed. You could be formally educated, have an undergraduate degree, have an associate's degree, have a master's degree, have a PhD. You can be just certified, or you have nothing at all. As long as you understand the concepts, you understand what you're getting into, that is fine. We We need people from all different areas. It doesn't matter what your hair color is. You can have a mohawk, colored hair, no hair, bald, gray hair. Doesn't matter. You can have be self-motivated, or you can require management to give you some leadership and guidance and make sure you're staying on task. Again, doesn't matter. But what does is that you have a thirst for knowledge, because the thing is what you learned yesterday, what you learned today will change in the future. So security is constantly evolving. It's constantly being innovated with new technologies, new way of doing things, and malware is evolving as well. So the security that we're providing for the threats that are out there has to change quicker than the threats out there. So change will happen. We constantly have to keep educating ourselves with the new and greatest things out there. And we have to know our positions. You know, we don't want to scope creep. We don't want to go into something you know, 27 tracks out there at RSA. We don't want to go into one track and then have someone scope creep us into another area. Make sure you know your position, and then let the other individuals within the organization focus on the other positions. But communication skills are imperative, though. We want to make sure that you're able to talk with and communicate with other people within the organization, with the leaders, with management, with other people on your team. So verbal, nonverbal communication is important. Technical or high level. Whether you can get really down into the weeds and describe things in significant, great detail, that's excellent. Whether you're high level, that's great as well. We want to make sure that you don't have a technical conversation with maybe some executives. You want to give them the high level information about what's going on so that they can make the decisions that they need to help you out with your decisions. But you also need to engage with all departments within the organization: executives, HR, accounting, the support desk, marketing, storage, virtualization, networking. Security plays a role into every part of the organization. Anything gets implemented, kind of like that email. You wouldn't implement an email without security, with that spam and AV. You're not going to implement, you shouldn't implement, accounting software or HR software or maybe a marketing without providing protections around that. So emerging positions out there that we're seeing, and this is by no means a complete list, a comprehensive list, but we're seeing a lot of data scientists, and those data scientists going into areas like machine learning and mathematics and coming out with significant technologies being used in security. And one thing that's interesting is some of these organizations we're talking to, when they have these PhDs and these smart people and data scientists working in areas of mathematics and such, they don't have any knowledge of security. They have knowledge in what they do, but they're providing a significant amount of value to the security space. So you can be working in security, although that's not your focus, that's not something you maybe are interested, but you know math, that's great. Programmers, reverse engineers, hackers, tinkerers, networking, software-defined segmentation, network security, software-defined anything. That's definitely the way that things are moving. But titles don't matter. So the thing is you can have something that sounds impressive and be nothing. You have something that doesn't sound that impressive, but you're a very important part to the organization. Ultimately, anyone in security is a very important part of the organization. Everybody plays a role, so it's very important. But now I'm going to hand it back to Jamie to handle the IIT Resources.
Sure. So no matter where you're at in your career, we've partnered with the Office of Career Services, the Alumni Association has, to ensure that there are services for you as alumni. So the link that you see here will outline those services, but we have online tools, so there's an extensive job database that is exclusive. You would have to obtain a login from Career Services, would allow you to search these. In addition, if you're not a member of our LinkedIn group, we post a large number of those that are available just for alumni. So in addition to, it's called Job for Hawks, that's the online database that you can get access to from the Career Services group. We've got plenty of other opportunities. The services that they provide not only include job search and career transition counseling, but also networking, referrals, negotiating tips, resume and cover letter critiques, mock interviews, and then also there's a host of events that the Career Services Group and Alumni Association sponsor. Would ask that you look, if you're in the field for a job this coming summer in June, we're looking to organize a alumni-only career fair, and would also welcome then employers who would want to participate. Listed a couple of links here for the schools. Again, Chris is a graduate of our School of Applied Technologies, and for those of you in the tech field, not only do they offer the undergrad and graduate degrees, they also offer ongoing education, certificate programs, and licensure programs for the various platforms. Also listed a link here for the College of Science, and again, this is a good resource for you for ongoing education through the computer science department. For those of you who are alumni, just a reminder that there is a substantial alumni tuition discount. It's not good for every program, but a large number of programs do qualify, so I've provided the link for that. Hopefully you're receiving the monthly digest if you're in the Chicagoland area, or the Professional and Career Development Series digest that we're sending out on a monthly basis so that you can stay abreast of the opportunities. In addition, there are countless lectures that happen here on campus that could help in developing your professional. Chris, back to you.
All right. And so here I just placed some links. Obviously, there's lots of information out there. If anyone has any questions whatsoever, let me know. I've only hit on a few topics, highlighted a few different areas in information security and some of the careers and some of the highlights, but feel free to reach out to me with any questions. And if there are any questions right now, I'll be glad to answer those as well.
Chris, I'm trying to get everyone unmuted. For whatever reason, I can't get the functionality of this to work. So what I'm going to do is ask that folks would submit questions. We got 2 people on the line, and if they would submit those via chat.
All right.
We'll give it a minute or 2.
Sounds good.
Well, Chris, I'm not seeing any questions coming in from the audience. I do thank you for your time today, and please join me in thanking Chris for taking time to lend some of his professional expertise to the alumni community. Again, look for future sessions in your email box for this career and professional development programs from the IIT Alumni Association.
Thank you, Jamie.
With that, I would conclude our program today, and thank you all for participating.